What is going on? Welcome to Dylan Talks Tone on this Monday. As you are well aware, if you follow this channel for a long time, I am a huge P90 fan. This guitar right here, SG Junior, it's got one of my P90s in it. P90s are my favorite thing. I love making them, I love playing them, and there's allegedly a bunch of different kinds. But we're going to dive into how similar they are versus how different they are and why. Oh, and we've got a new one. So, commonly, you are aware of the normal P90 that goes in the guitar I just showed you. Now, we should say that the dog ear P90 and the soap bar P90 are basically the same pickup, just with a different base plate and mounting system. But the bobbin and magnets and everything, at least the way we make them, are all the same. Let's talk about some different kinds of P90s other than this traditional one, and if you could even really call them that. So, can you put a P90 in the shape of a humbucker? Well, here's the problem. The bobbin is shorter. See if it's this way, which means the coil can't spread out as far. Then we've got our telly-sized P90s. Now these have screws in them, and they've got magnets underneath, but does it really sound like a P90? Can it really sound like a P90? That is a question. And then we've got this new one over here that we'll get to in just a second. But what we really need to talk about is what's the difference and why we're even having this conversation. So let's talk P90s. So the typical P90 is going to be this one right up here in the left top corner. Now, the way this works is there are humbucker bobbins right here, or humbucker magnets right here underneath the bobbin. The bobbin is 1/4 of an inch tall, very wide, and very long. Okay? And then the screws go through the middle. This was more or less one of the most original versions of the P90. I believe it came out in 1952. There was a previous version of that was different, but this is the one we mostly know. Now, it has two humbucker magnets underneath this 1/4 inch high bobbin, short and fat, okay? Now, the other type of pickup that we're normally used to seeing is this one over here. This is like a regular Telecaster or Stratocaster style pickup where you have the magnet that goes through the two pieces of flatwork, and then the coil is wrapped around, the wire is wrapped around the magnet itself. The thing is that's usually 650 thousandths tall or more, or it's a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch tall, depending on how, probably 1/2 inch tall. So it's twice as tall. You could put just as many winds on it if you wanted to, but it would sound different because the coil shape is different, because the coil sits different in relation to where the magnet is, because now we've got the magnet in the middle versus the magnet underneath with the pole pieces going up through the middle. It changes the magnetic structure of the pickup. Also, the coil shape is different. So what happens when we want to say, let's take this P90 tone and put it in some other guitar? We've got the traditional P90 over here on the left. That's a P90. If we want to change the shape of the coil, it's going to change the shape of the sound. So the trick is you have to figure out what kind of magnets and how many winds and all that sort of stuff to try to compensate for this. You can't always totally compensate for it because coil shape is coil shape. You cannot get around coil shape. If we change it from a regular P90 to a Telly style, for example, it's just gonna be different, just different. However, some of the characteristics that we like about P90s can remain the same. Same thing with the humbucker size. Now let's look at this size over here, where we've got, this is from the top. We can build it the same way with those magnets underneath, and we can put the screws through. We can do that. But the problem is the coil shape is a little different because a humbucker is shorter. It doesn't allow the coil to spread out as much. Therefore, the shape of the coil has to be just a little bit different. So a humbucker-sized P90 can sound pretty close to a P90, but not quite, because it's just a little bit different shape. That leads me to our new style of P90 that I'm going to show you right now. So what we've done here is we've taken our humbucker size P90 and we've made it to traditional pre-1950 way, where they would take a regular kind of Strat style magnet, press it through the bobbin, and not have, this is basically just a big legit single coil, but it's more in the shape of a humbucker or a P90. Of course, it's a little shorter, so it's a little of everything mixed together. It's kind of interesting because it's the dimensions of a humbucker, it is the construction of a regular single coil, but it is the height of a P90. It's kind of a bunch of things mixed together. So, for the first time ever on this channel, which I've never gotten to do, but now we're going to be able to do it, we're going to take our regular P90, we're going to take our humbucker size P90, we're going to take our Telecaster size P90s, and we're going to take our new P90, this new single, and I'm going to just kind of show you back to back. Now I'm going to run through them. I'm going to play them clean. I'm going to play them dirty. We're going to use the Black Star, St. James. We're probably going to use a little bit. We might use the, what is that thing? The Origin Effects Halcyon Overdrive. We might use the dirty part of the amp, the clean part of the amp. And the idea of this is just to just see and feel and hear the differences between these pickups, but also the similarities. Get in the comments and let me know what you think. And let me know, not so much, do these other pickups sound exactly like a P90? Because we know they won't. But if you have a Tele and you want to kind of lean that direction, do you think it kind of gets you there? Or if it doesn't, is it just a cool sound anyways? Because to me, that's all that really matters. Do we have pickups that make cool sounds? That's really all that matters to me. I don't care if it like perfectly compares or not. So let's get into it. Well, that was really fun. I've tested this stuff, obviously, but to just sit here all morning and kind of play them all back to back and mess around, different pedals, playing with different stuff, playing with both amps, it's really fun to hear the different flavors. So here's the bottom line. This is a P90. This dimension, 1/4 inch tall, the length, the Alnico 5 magnets underneath, the 10,000 winds of 42, the traditional, in my mind anyway, the traditional way that kind of Gibson did it in the early 50s all the way until today. I think, to me, that's my favorite P90 sound. I love, 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 love it. If you can't cut that hole in your guitar, if you don't have room for this, you can't do this, then there's other alternatives to play around with, right? If we've got a Tele, we can throw that Tele set in there. If we've got a humbucker space, there's a couple of different options. Do you get exactly this tone? No, absolutely not, because the coil dimension changes. Makes sense, right? Because it's just the science of the thing. It's just how the coils are made. When we change the magnet format from going to the two humbucker magnets underneath this one to like your more conventional magnetic poles, like in a Strat kind of thing, but in this coil shape, man, you get a whole nother thing. It's really, really fun. So it's not so much does it sound exactly like a P90? I'm not a does it sound exactly like a guy. I just say, if it makes a good sound and it's really cool, then it's worth trying. And I think all of this stuff sounds really good in its own different ways. I don't know. This was just really fun to do. I've just never took the time to do it. And this has been an experiment. This new P90, which will, all of these are going to be available on the website. This will be available by the time you see this video. This little dude right here brings a whole new dimension to it. I think it's really important to just have fun with this stuff. And so to be able to have all these different sounds available is pretty cool. You can go in the comments on a video and people will say, you didn't test it right. You didn't show, and people will do that on this video. You didn't play it clean enough. You didn't, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't really care. I just love these sounds and I wanted to share them with you. And hopefully some of them resonate with you and you want to try them too. That's really all it is. There's no science to this. Every pickup design, overall design, is different. It's kind of fun. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me and just doing this little experiment today. If you like what you see, you can directly support the channel at DylanTalksTone.com and buy a set of pickups. That's what we actually do. Or you can just like and subscribe or share it with somebody or just watch it. Or comment below and let me know what you thought of what you heard today. It's kind of fun. We will see you tomorrow.